A very good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Today. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I love Mondays. Good morning and welcome. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Amaya Makinde, good morning and welcome. Today is the 22nd day in the month of July. Welcome to the show.
Okay, yeah. So this right here is the Maiduguri bypass. So another interesting scenery and parts of the country that we're bringing you this morning. So sights and sounds of Maiduguri for you to behold. I know you know when you talk about the city, that's usually you tend to think, okay, are we done with battling insurgency? But you know, that's not all that the state is about. It's just to tell you there is life. In fact, abundantly too, that goes on in that city, just so you know.
Well, indeed, yesterday we had a special on Goza on the news at 10. I mean, and one of the things that was very remarkable about that particular part, which used to be the headquarters of Boko Haram, is the resilience of the people. Don't forget that only recently there were suicide bombings there. You would think that the idea was to scare the people, but they have shown resilience. But this is Maiduguri, the capital city of Borno State, and you can see that it has certainly come back to life. I haven't been to Maiduguri, sadly, in spite of all that has happened there, and I'd really love to visit. Oh, you can see there life returning beautifully to the city. You can see the grassland, trees interspersed with buildings and people going about their normal business. So quite a remarkable sight to see this morning, and quite soothing too, if you ask me. I know that one day I will go to Maiduguri, and it will be for the right reasons. It will not be because something awful is happening there. It will be because there is something beautiful to explore about the city. Ayo, what do you make of this?
And it was work. It wasn't. It was work. It wasn't. It was for a good reason, Malpe. And yes, I say amen to that prayer. You will go there for a good reason. You know, remarkably though, one of the things that excites me about what you said the other time, in spite of all of the insurgency, is the life that is returning. And we're also hearing that, you know, farmers are excited about the free transportation to farm by government. Let's also hope that with this financial autonomy to local governments all across the country, there will be more life in the city through the local government administrations that will now be financially independent enough to do good by the people. And then hopefully we'll see more lush green in the city, more development for the people. Well, for those who don't know, Maiduguri is the capital of Borno State. Yes, it is in Borno State. And this, as Malque and Chamberlain would always say, is one of those sites you want to wake up to every morning. So, Chamberlain, what's happening today?
Ayo, so go ahead and tell us. So what do we expect from you today?
Oh, yeah, well, business is one major thing that we're expecting. Business this morning will be talking about Dangote products. Of course, for those who have been following the news, and perhaps also the latest we're hearing about whether or not the refinery is being offered for sale, well, to the states. Of course, we'll find out more about that during Business Morning on Sunrise Daily at 10 o'clock today. In the meantime, Chamberlain, the papers, please.
Here are some of the papers we've got for you this morning. The Blueprint newspaper, high sulfur content claim. This is a matter that's been going on for a while, and we can tell you that it will, as a matter of fact, also continue in the days ahead. So the lead story here Subject our products to credibility test, Dangote dares NNDPRA. Says regulator undermining the market. Farouk Ahmed lacks sufficient knowledge of our refinery. Refinery stands as a beacon of hope for the country. Described to Abbas. So that's the big lead on the front page of Blueprint newspaper here today. This Nigeria, oil war. Probe quality of PMS diesel at filling stations nationwide. Who's going to pick up the gauntlet now? Look at the writer here. Dangote Petroleum Regulatory Agency, NNDPRA, at each other's throats over alleged monopolistic tendencies. Dangote rejects claims of producing substandard fuel monopoly. That's a big one right there. But above that one, you get to see 2023 election violence. Court orders INEC to hold governors and deputies accountable. You need to read the story to find out how. But in that story, my fellow Americans, I quit, says U.S. President Biden on November polls, endorses Kamala Harris. Look at the Daily Times. Tinubu highlights ECOWAS achievements, challenges at AU meeting. Says ECOWAS will continue to dialogue with Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger to maintain unity. And then at the bottom strip there, U.S. 2024, Biden quits presidential race, endorses Kamala Harris. The Abuja Inquirer survey maps 17 flood locations in Abuja, school, market at risk. That's a big one right there. They also have that story. Kamala Harris may be first black female U.S. presidential candidate. That's what you also see on the front page right there.
I'll begin with what's on the front page of the Abuja Inquirer, as you have it right there. I mean, the last one that you saw. And what's particularly concerning is the fact that schools and markets are at risk, especially in Abuja. The Abuja Inquirer leads with survey maps 17 flood locations in Abuja alone. And don't forget that we have been told by the authorities who are concerned that hundreds of locations all across the nations are to watch out. Don't also forget that we've been told that water levels are going to be concerning. We are looking forward to tomorrow. We want to have a better tomorrow, but please, let's take care of today so that we can actually be alive and well enough for that tomorrow. So are there any proactive measures that can be taken at the federal, state, or local government levels? States or local government levels, yes, we know people are responsible or irresponsible in some ways, putting things where they're not supposed to put them and then causing blockade of some of the waterways. All of that is known. But then these are not things that are happening on the authorities suddenly. This is a clarion call. It's a survey. And thankfully, we have proactive officials all over the nation. This is an example in Abuja, and where else? It's my take this morning, guys.
Indeed, I certainly couldn't agree more with you. To be forewarned, they say, is to be forearmed. But one of the things that really stands out for me this morning are the papers, on the front page of the papers, is the big story that broke yesterday. I couldn't believe it when I turned my TV on. That Biden steps down. He's standing down for the 2024 elections. I couldn't just believe what I saw. I mean, this was after months of pressure, building pressure. And I think that debate with former President Trump just put paid to that, or increased the tempo of the pressure. And at the end of the day, the president had to, accept. And I think while stepping down was big news, the bigger news, though I said the biggest news, was that he actually endorsed his vice president as as candidate. I mean, I understand they will have to slug it out at their convention. I mean, but to endorse means I actually believe that, my vice president can actually do the job. And I wasn't just picking her because, it was the politically correct thing to do, for the sake of balance, for the sake of all the other sakes that people pick up deputies for. It meant that he truly believed that if he wasn't available for any reason, she actually could do the job. Even though some people were saying that, the optics of bypassing her. But truth of the matter was, he didn't have to endorse anybody. He could simply have said, I step down and I leave it open to the Democratic, convention to find a replacement. But for him to actually say that he picks his vice president as the candidate, or he endorses her as the candidate, and whoever else wanted to support him, maybe he should support her. I think it's a big statement indeed. The question now is whether the Democrats or the Democratic Party will be willing to toe that particular line. It'll be interesting days, very interesting days ahead in U.S. politics, I tell you.
Well, yes, quite a lot over there because, they still have to have their convention and then decide who picks the ticket. First time in U.S. history where the seventh president just steps down, won't go for a second term. And then they don't know how the pendulum will swing because, Republicans, yes, they've got Donald Trump and the vice president who is relatively unknown to America. And then the president who, you hear people say, haven't been convicted. What happens? But you see, different kind of interests. So they're all trying to come to terms with their reality over there. But we shouldn't also forget what is sweeping across Europe. The political development, there are several perspectives. Some are going so left. And so huge lessons really in those countries in terms of how their politics is emerging. But above all, I think for us, we need to find a way to see that people are able to feel, leaders are able to feel the pulse of the people. What exactly are the people thinking? So we don't just become dinosaurs and just think, no, it's always been this way, so it has to be that way moving forward. Because before you know what's going on, it's swept off your feet. So it's hugely significant and important. Hoping that, in Kenya, they're saying the president is a puppet of IMF. So that's why you see some dissenting voices over here talking about, they want to protest. So all sorts of things happening, but how they manage all of those to make sure their institutions function is key above all else. Not forgetting the drama playing out in the oil and gas sector in this country. Oof. Don't blink.
Yeah.
Because if you do, you may miss a lot. But give us a moment. We will be right back.
The future belongs to the dreamers, to the doers, to those who are not afraid of the side hustle. It's for those who are ready to turn their passion into something big. And to help keep you revitalized and inspired, Top Tea is with you every step of the way. You are made for more. Find your inspiration. Top Tea, big round bags of flavor.
How does double digits affect your purchasing power? What about ballooning debts profile and scarce FX? How's that affecting your business?
The federal government is turning to the money market to fund this deficit. Are yields contracting or expanding? Is this a good buy for you?
Inflation drives MPC decisions and affects sentiment at the equities market. What is happening to your investments?
Or would you rather go digital? We track all the volatility in the crypto market.
Get the answers from the business team every weekday at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated, only on Channels Television.
I stand before you today at a crucial moment for our beloved Borno State. Over the years, we have faced numerous challenges, from insurgency to economic hardships. Despite these obstacles, we have witnessed a gradual return of peace and stability. This progress is a testament to the resilience and collective efforts of every citizen, leader, and organization within our community. However, the proposed mass protest threatens to undermine this hard-won progress, and it is imperative that we consider the potential consequences carefully. While the right to protest is fundamental in a democracy, we must avoid the high likelihood of such actions being manipulated by anarchists and enemies of peace. These elements thrive on chaos and discord, seeking to drain our collective efforts and exploit our vulnerabilities. Such manipulation could lead to violence, property destruction, and a setback in the progress we have painstakingly achieved.
Okay, so welcome back. We've got two gentlemen joining us this morning. Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi is here in the studios. He is the Deputy National Chairman for Labour Party and also the governorship candidate of Labour Party in the forthcoming Ondo State governorship elections. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've got, we also do have Mr. Kasim Afegba, who is a former Commissioner for Information in Edo State and has played several roles within the party as well. He joins us virtually. And thank you for joining us as well, Mr. Afegba. Okay, Dr. Olorunfemi, let me start with you. I mean, several things playing out in the country. I know that rising cost of living happens to be one of them. Governance, in terms of the impact of the policies of government on the country. And then you yourself are campaigning in those states, so hoping to get that ticket, snatch that governorship position from, get the nod of the electorate. So how would your assessment be in terms of where the country is at the moment?
Well, let me take you back to memory lane. The way we have been coming, right from the Shagari era and the kind of politics that has been taking place since then. You recall that the Shagari administration became unpopular as a result of the structural adjustment policy of the then government. At that level, the politicians came together. They never wanted that policy to survive, and that led to the disruption of democracy by the then, by the former president of Nigeria, General Buhari. He cautioned democracy at that time. And of course, that was one of the issues we had against him, that regardless of whatever was going on, you don't have any right to criminally, I use the word criminally, because you possess gun. You have the capacity as a security man of the country. You took over government that was elected, that was democratically elected. He took over government, and between 1983, you recall what happened. Some of us were 100-level students at that time. The cafeteria system changed. Students had to go and be feeding themselves. The subsidy was removed for a cafeteria system. And of course, you have to fend for yourself. We demonstrated that time. It was, and between that period and 85, there was complete destruction of the economy. All right, so military continued and continued. For 16 years, we were in the wood, trying to find our way. Virtually, we were in darkness.
Are you saying the similar thing now?
Exactly. That's where I'm coming. You have to take your story you have to go back to history to know where you are. All right? For 16 years, Nigeria was in the dark. And by 1999, which was 16 years after Buhari took over, Obasanjo came back as a democratically elected president. And we started from that way, from that point, develop another economic blueprint for the country. We are moving. And you recall, the era of tear leather came. among civil servants, public servants. We started buying cars. You know, you remember in 1999, even Tokumbo vehicle became easier for people to buy. All right, Ford, Golf, Omega. Teachers were building houses, which means the economy came back. Okay, we are returning back to the pre-Buhari administration when it took over. We are returning there gradually. Banks were telling you, if you are interested in a vehicle, come, tier leader vehicle, Picanto. Here, Picanto, Hyundai, brand tier leader. And we came with what they call tier leader syndrome. And that continued until Obasanjo left. Yar'Adua came. Okay, Yar'Adua had medical issue. I use one word to describe that, and it's like we are nosediving. But Jonathan came, took over, and was trying to stabilize. He tried as much as possible to stabilize the economy, you know, using eggheads. You know, the same team that Obasanjo used were also deployed in Jonathan administration, and they were holding the economy very, very seriously. Until that time, you remember 2012, when there was a huge demonstration led by the people who are there now over the planned removal of subsidy. And from the labor perspective, it was like you cannot remove subsidy unless certain things were put in place. It started during the period of Obasanjo. We said you cannot, Kupolokun was there, they held town hall among the labor unions, the two labor centers we have in Nigeria, TUC and NSC. I was party to some of those consultations that took place.
So in other words, you're saying that any call for protest this time is justified?
It's justified. If anybody is saying there shouldn't be protest, I'm talking now as Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, the governorship candidate of Labour Party in Ondo State. I'm not talking as Labour Party now.
Yeah, but have you heard the narratives that it is obedience, probably / Labour Party members that are calling for the protest?
That goes on to say that the government that is currently sitting in the government house, as recognize the fact that Labour Party won that election. If Nigerians are saying they are tired, and you are now saying it is Labour Party that is crying that they are tired, it means you know you stole their mandate. If you are saying the obedience are the one that are clamoring for a change, for a better governance, for a better Nigeria, it therefore means that you are telling Nigerians that you actually lost that election, Labour Party won. Because everybody on the streets of Nigeria are clamoring for a change of governance. They are tired of this type of governance, this bad governance. This like a government that has been put together, you know, by, I don't want to use a derogatory word, but of course, our hands are in chain. Look at the symbol. Yeah, look at the symbol in the cap of the president of this country. It is a chain. That is what police use in arresting people.
Mr. Fegba should know better because he's his close ally. Mr. Fegba, good morning and thank you for joining us. You never told us that signified chains. You know, the symbol of the cap of the president. But
no, I think that's the idea of Dr. Olorunfemi, who is wearing two caps. He's deputy chairman, Labour Party, is the governorship candidate. Too much position. Leave one and face one.
I will do after the election.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain, for this discussion. I listened to him very, attentively. I think it's very convenient for us to always criticize. It's good. It's part of the functionality of the human society. But again, you don't come and parrot, statements that are not scientifically and they are not empirical in terms of data. The 2023 elections have come and gone. And please, Labour should get itself off this cul-de-sac. They keep having this paranoia that, they won the election, whereas the statistics on ground do not, suggest that. The elections have come and gone. You champion your cause to the courts. You fought. You argue. You front-loaded all your evidence and all that. And in the opinion of the courts, they were unanimous in their judgment. So please, let us move forward. This idea of trying to be president by proxy, it can't drive the narrative further for a country that is in trying times. No doubt we have challenges. Labour Party should also accept that there are challenges and that they may not even have the answer to them because they have not profiled solutions. They have not given us an alternative viewpoint that will suggest that they were serious for governance ab initio. If we are under a trying period, as we are now, and as opposition, I expect you to say, this policy of government is not working. This is what it should be. I'm not seeing that kind of alternative voice. They should form a shadow cabinet kind of, arrangement where they will be speaking to some of these issues, economics, health, education, and all that. But every time you keep coming and rehearsing the same weather-beating rhetoric of winning election. Which election did you win? Where did you win their election? What are the statistics? So please let us put that aside. Let us face the bigger picture of how to deepen conversation around governance, how to move the country forward. The president is one that listens, is one that dialogues, is one that also engages in conversation. And so he has been meeting people, he has been reaching out to groups and all that. Sit down, articulate positions, and suggest to Nigerians what you think you can do better if you feel that a particular policy is not working well. And for people thinking that it is protest that to yield the soft ground for policy implementation, I think they'll be missing the point. Because you are protesting to a government that's already aware that there are challenges. Each time the president talks, he even tells you, don't sympathize with me. I asked for this job. I know that there are challenges, but we are working. All I need from you is patience. How else do you want him to? So when you now protest, you now destroy houses, you destroy property of people and all that. Then tomorrow, government will still spend money to be fixing those property and all that. Then you tell me that there's no money. So I don't want the Labour Party to be behaving like Governor Obaseki in Edo, who will demolish government buildings because he doesn't like the face of the deputy governor. And tomorrow he will spend the same government money to fix. He destroyed the assembly, the state assembly quarter. He still used people's money to fix. Money that you could have used to, advance, further narrative on some other areas of governance. They won't do that. So when people are in government, if you have a listening government, a government that listens, it's better because democracy is all about constructive engagement, collective bargaining. It's all about interaction. It's all about finding solutions to problems. No one government will have provide solutions to everything. But when you have a sensitized, conscientized, and heavily mobilized electorate and the citizenry, they are able to generate ideas. And no government, is run through the public opinion, through mob. You carry mob. You say you want to use that's the way to govern. No. If Peter Obi, who is the epitome of the labor movement of the Labour Party, so to speak, and you yourself, who you are running for governorship, generate ideas that you think will be different from what the man who is there now in those states, what he's doing that you don't like, generate ideas that will also counter him. And those ideas, let them be achievable, let them be actionable. Not just sitting down criticizing the Labour won election. Which election did Labour win?
Mr. Febua, you have said that you have said quite a number of things, and it's interesting that you found a way to bring in current Edo politics into this conversation. But let me take you, you have also said that the president acknowledges the fact that, things are difficult, and at every speech opportunity he gets, he always highlights that. However, I think for a number of people, the question is about the actions that he takes or the people around him takes, and there has been no attempt to debunk some of these things. Give you an instance. Conversation around a brand new plane for the president. We understand that the conversation that came from the House of Representatives wasn't just a suggestion. As a matter of fact, we hear that a plane has been bought. There has been no contradiction or denial from quarters of government. For a number of people, they think that priorities are not being aligned in tune with the scarce resources that we are being told that this country is currently experiencing. Would you really say that this government has been able to cut down the cost of governance in line with current economic realities?
Well, first of all, you have to know that presidential system of government is quite expensive. And if it's unsuitable to our own disparities and our configurations, political configurations across the country, then we'll sit back and carry out a conversation, because it's in presidential system of government. You have a senator, you have a PA will have another PA will have another SA and all that. You see the long list of all of that. Because we have narrowed down politics to bread and butter. And this is a collective responsibility on our own part. And you don't have to blame the government for it. We inherited the presidential system of government that is quite expensive. Talking about the presidential plane or whatever, I'm not aware that there's a new presidential plane yet. I traveled from the airport 4 days ago, and I didn't see any new plane. I was curious. I was asking the airport operators, where is the presidential new plane that they said they have bought? I haven't seen one. At any rate, if we have 10, 11 planes on our fleet, I would suggest and I would recommend that that be pruned down. If they are worthy to be sold, some of them should be sold. But you can't have a country like Nigeria, the largest in Africa, the largest black nation in the world, not having a presidential plane for their president. And so you might say priorities, but there are certain things you have to do, not to be narrow down government or governance or the leadership of the country, so to speak. That is one. Two, our mentality as a country, as Nigerians, is also another factor that has to be looked into, because that's why every time I have opportunity to speak, I'll always tell you that there is the need for deliberate and conscious attitudinal reorientation of minds, because expectations from government are always very high, and when government is unable to meet up those expectations in record time, you see people get worked up. It's natural. But even in our own individual operations and engagements and undertakings, we fall short of the conditionalities that we blame government for. I drive all the time on the highway, and I see the way drivers drive, and they want to big traffic light, they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to shunt, they want to do this and all. So I've also seen situations where we say we are in a season of lack. You go to a Owambe party, you see people throwing food all over the place. Everywhere is littered with food and all that. It doesn't correspond with the idea that the country is in a state of want, or we lack. So I think it's about reordering our priorities. And in reordering our priorities, we need ideas from different people to be canvassed on the altar of governance, so that people can connect to these ideas and you drive the narrative down. So the National Orientation Agency, for example, is trying to do, few things now, come up with a kind of value addition, programs that to help people to readdress their minds or reorientate their minds to expectations from government and what they can do differently to also help government. If those who are calling for this strike, if the protest, if they carry on the protest, for example, and they are unable to manage the mob, what happens at the end of the day? I don't think we have gotten over the NSAS protest in Lagos and the destruction that attended that particular NSAS protest. But again, as a democracy, you can say protest is part of the agitations and, to take government on. But the same government is a listening one, is hearing the cries of the people. And each time they come up to give you explanation. The explanation may not be satisfactory to everybody, but in the aggregate interest, there's an explanation. And again, government.
Mr. Fegba, sorry, I have to interrupt you because we have to bring in Mr. Lauren Femi. You have heard quite a number of things that he said. He says, yes, protest is within the right of the people, but however, their fears. I mean, we don't seem to have gotten over what happened with NSAS and, the aftermath of what transpired when, protesters were attacked. The reverberations were felt all over the country, even in the states where protests did not happen, looting happened. And I think that there is still a palpable fear of such a thing repeating itself, protests getting out of hand. To your mind, what purpose would you say that, because we know the problems we're in, and we know that the solutions will most likely be long-term. What immediate purpose would you say that the protest, if it were to go on, would be meant to achieve?
Okay, thank you very much. First and foremost, the NSAS protest you talk about, if you are going to blame anybody, blame the government for the outcome of that protest. They lack the competence to manage conflict. You know, when you see people protesting and you mobilize thugs to infiltrate them or to attack them, what are you calling for? So you blame the government under Buhari that time. It's the same APC. That is adversarial approach to conflict management. And that is what APC is used to. And that is why they are also complaining about this protest. People say they want to engage in peaceful protest. They protested in Lagos in 2012. The entire Lagos was closed. Nobody was killed. Nobody obstructed them. The government of that time did all it could to convince the people who are protesting until NSC and TUC decided to pull out and say, look, we are seeing reason. Allow people to vent their anger because they have every reason to vent.
That's how you remember it.
Yeah.
I remember that, you know, soldiers and policemen came to the streets and at some point they knew that protest was over.
Yeah.
You know, I remember that. So I think it's a matter of how you remember things.
But then nobody was killed. No record of people being killed. No record of arrest made to the extent that some people who were arrested during the NSAS are just being released just a few months ago, few weeks ago. Of course. So that is another way of managing conflict. We know, and people know at that time that the Tinubu of this world at that time sponsored the protest.
So, but I think part of the narrative is...
However,
yeah, you know, so if you're to protest, right, if they come out and protest, what is it that they will be asking for? Because part of his point is that what are they asking for that the government say we haven't recognized that we are doing it already? That would be the point.
First and foremost, we need to clear something here. I'm not one of those organizing the protest. We'll the Labour Party is not organizing a protest. Peter Obi is not organizing a protest. But from the public opinion, the same way you are hearing is the same way I'm hearing. But I can assure you, if the protest break out today, I will support it. I will join them. But I don't know who the organizers are.
What would you be asking for if you're...
Of course, he asked a question. He posed a challenge to us that if we were to be in government as Labour Party, what will we be doing? First and foremost, he said, we should not claim that we won the election. Why are you claiming that Labour Party is behind this popular protest? If you claim that we didn't win that election, so why are you disturbing us? At every little public provocation and people are angry, you say it's Labour Party. It therefore means that the Nigerian people are behind the Labour Party and they truly voted for them. Forget about what the court said. So I want to clear that. So if Nigerians, and in fact APC in particular, is saying that obedience are behind this Labour Party, they are the one organizing this protest and whatever, they are the one behind it. It therefore means Nigerians actually voted for Labour Party. That's the point I am trying to make here. And so they should stop, if they know they truly won the election, they should stop ascribing every protest, every action of the public that is against their government. They should stop ascribing it to Labour Party and our presidential candidate.
6 million voters is no joke.
It's not joke. It's not joke. It's not joke. I know it's not joke. But okay, the person that won the election, what is his score? What's his score? So look at it. In a true democracy, should that be the result? Okay, so now going to the alternative plan we have, if we were the one in government, first and foremost, you don't announce removal of subsidy there at the point of swearing-in ceremony. When you have not sat down, look at the issue, put all of these things, articulate the problem, look at the consequences that may come as a result of your decision and all of that before, and get some consultation made. You didn't do that, you just announce it.
So what should they be doing now?
So for us, we believe that he talked about value reorientation. The government itself should first go and do reorientation. They should go first and foremost from the Aso Villa. You don't have to block traffic when you are traveling. You don't have to disobey traffic rules. Any government official with their convoy will break traffic rules. And people watching them, what do you expect them to do? It's talking about our traffic system. And of course, you see an average Nigerian traveling abroad, they obey traffic rules because their leaders there obey traffic rules. Do you, as leader in Nigeria, do you obey traffic rules? In fact, those of us who will get to the traffic point and stop, you will see people, accusing us of stopping.
So which economic policy would you like to see government take to ensure that they reduce inflation rate, and the rising cost of living?
Number one, I will say the system of economy that we should implement is the economy of sincerity and truth. Why is it that your refinery never work, or it's not working, or you have made it not to work? We have Petrogas in Brazil. It's working and it's owned by government of Brazil. That is the government of Labour Party. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there's no reason why our refinery should not be working. If Dangote, an individual, can start a refinery of that magnitude, I don't know what government is looking at.
So, Mr. Fegba, you asked for a policy. He's giving you one.
And secondly, I'm not finished.
Just before, go.
Please.
Let him give you the second one, so you can just respond to both of them. Could you read the second one? Yeah, the second policy.
Okay, all right. So, modular refinery. I'm still talking about oil. Modular refinery. You see people, guys, you find them in the creek. The civil defense of this world will go there, pack all their refined product and the crude, destroy them, put fire on them, burn everything. And you know that these guys are refining this fuel into PMS, or maybe to AGO. You are arresting them, and you cannot gather them, bring them to a place where they can be organized, and give them license to go and produce properly. So,
all right.
So who are you blaming? They are not sincere.
Dr. Olorufemi, I hope this is not the kind of mentality you are bringing to bear in Ondo State if you become governor. Economic saboteurs are economic saboteurs by every definition of that word. People who are economic predictors and buccaneers will naturally want to frustrate government, intentions in fixing certain things right. Talking about the refineries in Nigeria, it is my wish and the prayers of quite a number of us Nigerians to see Nigerian refineries work. But even as we speak, despite the effort being put to it, you still hear people throwing spanner in the works. So, which brings us back to the issue of our orientation. What are the expectations from government? What is also our own responsibility, to ensure that we protect government facilities, to protect government engagements and what have you. It is not just about sitting there. On the one hand, you said Labour, APC does not know how to manage crowd. And on the other hand, you said they organized a protest in 2012, under ACN and all the other members of the opposition, and it was very peaceful and nobody was killed, nobody was shot. Which one should I believe you? So what I am saying, and let us be very patriotic about this.
Mr. Fegba, could you add this to your response? When he spoke about the refineries, we've seen the back and forth going on now between Dangote refinery and the NNDPRA. The president is the Minister of Petroleum. Shouldn't he be saying or calling them to order?
You see, at times, I will answer this question very, very quickly, but let me respond to the point he made about the subsidy removal, that if it was Labour, that they will sit down, consult, do this, do that. That's a matter of choice. Don't blame the president who was elected in March, who has series of engagement with the outgoing president, who have been briefed by all the security agencies before he took over government, before taking the decision. Don't forget that even the budget that was presented by the outgoing president did not capture subsidy. So the subsidy, in a way, had been removed. But just to make the official pronouncement was what the current president did. And having taken that decision, those who were profiting from subsidy, the civil servants who were in Petroleum Equalization Fund, who will generate memos without anything being imported or being distributed, will naturally not sit back because they have too much money on their hands. So subsidy scammers will also visit their own anger, visit their own sabotage in the system. So all of this, you have to contend with them as a government. I'm not saying that government should not play the victim role, but again, as a people, we must have an overriding interest to help the country to grow, not to destroy it for our own individual, crass, materialistic intentions. That's the point I'm driving. Now, talking about the refinery, why they are not this thing. We have been We have been told recently by the NNPCL that by December, the Port Harcourt refinery will work. And he gave explanation as to the reason why there have been delays. Because they have people themselves, they've set targets or when they will fit where it will run, and it is not being they are not being met. For obvious reasons, there are internal saboteurs. And when you talk about modular refinery are organized business engagement, not the same way as the ones that civil defense are catching in the forest when they are using drum to hit crude and generate one. You can't even vouch for that one quality. That's not how to run a country. And that is why bunkering has become such a serious issue that we are contending with. We are generating 1.2 million barrels per day instead of 2.1 million thereabout. And all of this is on the high sea. Who are the people operating it? The president is not on the high sea. But when you give responsibility to people, and when they are not delivering, of course, the president will take the blame. That's why I say every time, don't worry, I'm aware of what's happening, don't sympathize with me. At some point, we will get it right. But again, as a country, we must be ready to punish and sanction people when they do wrong. For me, I'm a supporter of the Dangote refinery, for example.
Mr. Fegba, just 1 second, if you can hear me. My sincere apologies for butting in. There's a question Jemilin asked about the president being the petroleum minister. You haven't really spoken to that. Promises were made on his behalf about the refineries from the beginning of this year. And some professionals came out and said, look, all those promises, it's not going to happen. And now, of course, the NNPC is recanting. In all of the issues that are being raised, the president, as Chamberlain reminded us, is the Minister of Petroleum. And the buck stops at his table. So can we make any excuses for him?
I think for me, that is ceremonial. Because the responsibility of governing Nigeria is quite huge. And so you wouldn't expect the president to be operating as a true minister of petroleum in the way that he will be checking files and what have you. Don't forget that NNPCL is now a limited liability company. If I understand that one in line with the Petroleum Industry Act, it means that the government has divested, only holding a certain percentage of it. And so if the president is a minister of petroleum, for me, I see that as ceremonial, just to be able to...
Anyway, there are conversations around that one, Mr. Fegwa, but let me ask Dr. Lauren Femi, and you will respond to the same question, Mr. Fegwa, because I know you are in the space. I want to speak about communication, Dr. Lauren Femi. How satisfied are you about the general communication of governments, be it at the federal or state levels? Because most of the time we focus so much on the federal government that we ignore the fact that state governments also have responsibilities in the governance of Nigeria. So how satisfied are you about the communication between the government at the various levels and the people, as well as even the communication between the federal and state governments to the betterment or benefits of the people?
Well, if you agree with me, I will rather say that we don't have effective communication in Nigeria. What we have mostly is propaganda. And when the question was asked, what system of economy will I choose or will I want to adopt? And I said, the economy system of sincerity, of purpose, regardless of whether it is capitalist, socialist, or whatever. Sincerity of purpose. When you are sincere, then you cannot talk about a system, a program that you are going to put in place. And of course, when you have this system put in place, then every other thing that surrounds it will go along the line of that objective sincerity. That is colored with sincerity. So your communication will be sincere. Your actions will be sincere. And nobody will read unnecessary meanings to your communication. So as it is now, it's like everybody is just to his own tent. Okay. And you see what drives Governor A is different from what drives Governor B. And of course, when you deploy a huge amount of money to win an election, you expect that it has become a business venture. You want to recoup your money and make some profit, save some other one for the next election. Of course, if we continue like this, as a people, then we have no destination.
Well, are you saying then, just a second, on that same, just a second, Dr. Olorunfemi, are you saying then, I mean, if you say that we don't really have communication in Nigeria, we have propaganda, is that what the Labour Party, your party and yourself, is that what you're also using and not communicating with the people?
We are not in government. If you want to see Labour Party in government, go to Abia State and see their communication system. So when you ask the question as to whether the government in Nigeria, both state government, and I have that answer for you, because that is exactly what is going on. For us in Labour Party, we have our own communication system. And whether it is conflict management or it is simple administration, we have a scientific communication system.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure, Dr. Olorunfemi, I just wanted to be sure that, I mean, because when you said what we have in Nigeria is communication, I just wanted to, is propaganda, I just wanted to be sure that what you're speaking to is different.
Oh, no, it's the government. When I say Nigeria, I'm referring to the government.
Okay, well, Mr. Fegwa, the challenge of communication, effective communication, is something, right? A good number of people are wondering, I mean, from Chamberlain would say, and you also emphasize the fact that from time to time, the president will come out and say, you know, we understand, and all those things. But it doesn't seem like that communication is getting across. What we're getting is information. But people are not getting it as communication, not understanding it from the perspective of the federal government, from the president. Add that to the fact that even a good number of things that we're getting from the governors at the various levels and other political leaders, other people in the political eye of people, in the face of people, ministers and all, they are not able to persuade Nigerians that they are atop all of the situations. And the costs are speaking a completely different tone from what we're hearing from government officials.
Well, thank you very much for this question. Let me quickly tell the Labour Party man that they shouldn't be talking about leadership and conflict management, because even the Labour Party as a party has not been able to put its house in order. It's been embroiled in one crisis or the other. Even their presidential candidate, Peter Obi, cannot even resolve a little issue, just very flimsy issues within the Labour Party. You see issue of burglary, you see issue of court cases, you see issues of fighting, breaking their heads and all of that. I was expecting that the Labour Party of this emanation, you know, talking about trying to govern Nigeria, will be able to put its house in order, run a proper party such that a man like Olorunfemi, if he's going to emerge as a candidate of the party, he should also leave his position as deputy chairman so that other people can take over. We always like to acquire. Acquisition is our mentality, and that is one of the problems. So talking about communication, well, to a large extent, there are still some gaps. That is not to be contended with. The point is, the state governments, the citizens are not placing too much emphasis on the state government. Everybody is looking at the ombudsman, the Abuja FCT capital. If state governments are being held accountable to the resources that accrue to them from the federation account and even internally generated revenue, there will be a semblance of governance. If I take Edo State, for example, only last week the president announced the presidency announced distribution of rice. About two truck, they said the 2 truck was taken to Edo, maybe $2,000, I don't know. As we speak till now, we've not had anything about those rice. And they are saying that they kept those rice in warehouses. So when you see a deliberate effort to also punish federal government because you don't belong to the same party, then at the end of the day, you don't have any morality to continue to condemn that government, even when they try to do something different. So the communication strategy of states and even local government should be such that they will be able to carry the people along. But oftentimes there are huge gaps.
Yeah, Mr. Fegba, so chances are that, I mean, they might just eventually say that you're giving that a political spin because it's election period. So you.
No, a political spin. I'm in Benin. I've been around. If they are sharing rice, I will know. I have people in my local government. If they are sharing rice, I will know. So it's not every time we put political spin. They have been. I just told you that in 2023 alone, my state government, in line with the question you asked, received 105 billion from federation account. They also gave those state government 10 billion palliative, 7 billion for security. That's 122 billion.
Are you suggesting? So, in other words, you're saying they haven't given account of how those monies were utilized or disbursed?
They don't give account. You drive around Benin here and I saw. It's
okay,
terrible.
so I think we'll put it out to them. So let them publish how they've spent those funds. I think that will apply to...
They are only a government of secrecy.
Other governors as well. All right, so
it's a government of secrecy.
Yeah, in addition to your response, you also tell us why you want to be governor.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, let me clear this issue of conflict or crisis in the Labour Party. Labour Party is driven by its constitution, and the constitution is the grand norm. Anything that is against the constitution, you don't expect the leadership of Labour Party to submit to it. And even my own position as Deputy National Chairman of the party, the constitution did not say, in contesting, I must resign. It's clear. So we operate our constitution, and PDP cannot operate our constitution for it. They can't introduce their own constitution into our own party. APC will not give us their own constitution. We have our own constitution as approved by INEC, and that is what we are following. Talking about the conflict within the Labour Party, to which you say our presidential candidate has not been able to manage. How do you wake somebody who is pretending to be asleep? Somebody who is asleep. How do you wake such a person up?
Who is that in this case?
Oh, some people are there pretending to be members of Labour Party, but are sponsored by the ruling party.
Who are these people?
No, I don't want to mention names. Of course, you know, after the election, the shock of 2023 election, they said Labour Party will not exist. After the election, they did everything. They said it, and we can see the hand of the ruling party in what is going on in the Labour Party. But we will not concede. We have the law. As long as we continue to run in line with the constitution of the party, we will not back down. So, on Ondo, yes, we have a very, very robust program for Ondo State. The first thing is to talk about health, both curative and preventive health. We want to restore the maternal care system, the popular mother and child hospitals, which are now moribund in Ondo State. You know, during the Labour Party administration in that place, we introduced some programs which people, even government from outside.
So why do you think your party will beat the APC and the PDP?
Well, it's about the people, and it's about their choice. Forget about rigging. I don't look at rigging as a problem, but the people themselves who needed change will determine who the next governor will be. If they are satisfied with where they are now, if they are satisfied with the kind of education they are getting, if they are satisfied that they have to pay hugely to go to hospital to get medical treatment, if they are satisfied that there's nobody consulting them in their various communities, even in farmhouses, to check their vitals, to know the state of their health, if they are satisfied that they have to pay hugely in state-owned higher institutions.
So has the government published...
But we are going to reduce tertiary fee, tuition fee paid in tertiary institutions by half.
Are you satisfied how the governor has utilized the funds and palliatives given from the federal government?
I have not seen any impact in my local government, in my ward. I have not seen any impact.
Have you seen any impact anywhere?
I have not seen anywhere. Are you talking about one delica to be shared by 5 families?
That's what you saw.
That is what I saw.
I thought you said you haven't seen anywhere.
No, that is what I have not even seen that. That is what they are saying. That is useless. Why you? That's why I talk about policy. Sincere system. Let's build our our program around sincere.
All right, I want to thank both of you for coming on. Dr. Ayolo Femi, Deputy National Chairman, Labour Party, and also governorship candidate of Labour Party for the forthcoming Ondo governorship elections. Mr. Kasim also former commissioner for Edo State. Thank you for your time as well today on the program.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. Tell that man not to promise what he can't deliver.
We will deliver. We are sure. I have done it before. I have done it before. I'm doing it now in my College of Education is tuition free.
Were you a governor before?
My College of Education is tuition free. Right now in Ajowa, yes. My College of Education is tuition free in Ajowa. Go there. I invite you.
It's not even recognized in Nigerian education system.
Okay, fine. Go to SEC and go to JAM. Bring your people. Bring your people. So you can see yourself now. An institution. You are saying it's not recognized.
What a way to start the week. I would say interesting conversation going on right there on Sunrise Daily. Well, let's do business. And today is going to be a bit special because we have 45 minutes instead of our usual 30 minutes. So you wonder why or what's special about it. Just stick on and you will not miss any of it. Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. Business morning on Sunrise Daily. I beg to say, I'm John Mekwa. Let's start from the global business. Oil prices rose in early trade on Monday as investors keep a lookout for signs of a rate cut cycle expected to begin as soon as September. Obviously, that's in the United States. We take a look or closer look now at the numbers for this morning. We see that it's green, 0.57%. For Brent at $83.10 a barrel. WTI of the United States is also up 0.52% at $80.55 a barrel. The U.S. Federal Reserve will next hold a Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, meeting on July 30 and 31. And, I mean, for Nigeria, it starts today. The MPC meeting starts today. Of course, we'll have the decision tomorrow, as which for the United States, investors expect the Fed to keep the rates unchanged while looking for any signal of a cut coming later on in the year. As we said earlier, September is when it's expected to start. On the political front, United States President Joe Biden abandoned his re-election bid on Sunday under pressure from fellow Democrats and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's candidate to face Republican Donald Trump in November. A whole lot of change going on there. We've seen markets early trading reacting to that, especially in Asia. We know the sentiment around Mr. Trump there, what happens, his sentiment towards Asia. And then, of course, the concerns, his relationship with President Putin and what that could mean for Ukraine. It's a big picture that we see just taking shape right now. Now we're looking at the Naira and see they recorded another depreciation in spite of that huge intervention from the Central Bank of Nigeria last week on Thursday. They did about $20,000 to the BDCs. On Friday, it was to the official at a smaller rate. I can't remember the number now, but in spite of that, we did see that it's dropped. For the NAFEM, which is a major market there, opened at 1,566 Naira, 82 kobo, and then closed at 1,596 Naira, 92 kobo. That's a drop of almost 2%, worrying right there. NAFEX also, there was a drop of 0.86%. We know the central bank has explained these to, and people like Mr. Bismarck, who run your financial derivatives company, has said that it's seasonal. There's a lot of demand now for the dollar, and that's depreciating. Then I guess what it just begs is, at the end of the day, we need to reduce the need for the dollar or foreign currency. We had more of Nigerian-produced products, services, then there will be less demand for the dollar, more demand for the Naira, and then perhaps this would change. And so connected to that is Nigeria's FX reserve, which is supposed to help boost the value of the Naira. It has recorded another increase at the end of last week, hitting its highest level in 16 months. This is according to CBN data. Gross reserves increased by $557.7 million. It's now at $35.93 billion. That's what we closed the week with last week. And this rise is attributed to the disbursement of $750 million, which is the first tranche of the development policy financing from the World Bank. In the meantime, the central bank says Foreign currencies worth $106.5 million were sold to authorized dealers on Thursday and Friday. Did say that earlier. So, of course, perhaps we'll expect more intervention from the central bank, you know, and that will help boost the currency, the value of the naira. But as we always say, that's not really something to celebrate at this time. What we need is sustained value to the naira. Now, a lot of conversations going on about the first half of the year as we start off and settle into the second half of the year. One of those to have contributed to that is Dr. Bola Adigo from Deloitte. She shares what she thinks can be done to make the second half of 2024 better than the first. Remember that the IMF just cut the growth forecast for 2024 for the country.
If the MPR increases further and then the production process becomes more expensive, right? At the end of the day, those prices will be transferred to the end user or to the consumer. So I think in that regard, there is need to have a balance in that. Another thing is we need to address food crisis in the second half of the year, because statistics are nice, but the reality on ground is very important. You agree with me? So we need to address food prices. Now, the steps the government is taking in, for example, suspending tariffs on certain grains, in bringing in some farming equipment, setting up a committee to address our food crisis, they are steps in the right direction. But I think another critical factor we need to do is address insecurity so that people can go back to their farms. And if people can go back to their farms, then we can be sure that our food production in the next season will be much higher. Now, the prices are reflective of demand and supply dynamics. When we have enough supply, prices naturally will crash to achieve an equilibrium. So I think in the next FY, while some of the programs, policies are in the right direction, we have to accelerate so that we ensure that we don't have a sluggish economy and the average Nigerian can start to feel the impact, both in their pocket and also at their
So that's it, Dr. Adigo. They're sharing some tips. I mean, it's a general conversation that has been going on. We hope to continue on that, especially this week. Send some message and see if we can get the attention of those in authority, not just the federal, but also for states, so we get a better outcome in H2. The 3.3% of IMF, we can even do better than that if we put our minds to it and they're intentional. Policies and implementation of those policies, I think, is what we should be emphasizing. And of course, we do have the policies, we do have them on paper and all of that. Now, let's talk a little bit about, well, most of the time when you talk about banking these days, you're talking about recapitalization, but Sterling Bank begs to be different. They're talking about health and their collaboration with the Lagos state government. It's Ilera Eco Boots. That's their focus this morning, where they are considering how to contribute to the welfare of Lagosians, especially this morning. We have joining us for this conversation the Divisional Head, Education and Health Sectors, Obinna Okachuku from Sterling Bank. Thank you so much, Mr. Okachuku. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So you are interested in health. I thought you'd come on the program to discuss recapitalization. That seems to be what banks are looking at now. But we see you prefer to talk about health at this time. What's your interest with Ilera Eco?
We in Sterling Bank, we believe that the people we serve should be alive before we can actually serve them. So that's why health is actually a very important pillar of our strategy. We're partnering with Ilera Eco just because we're supporting the improvement of access to health and the quality of healthcare, and that's what the Ilera Eco Boots are about. It's about getting insurance, health insurance, closer to people and driving down the cost of healthcare generally.
Yeah, so how does it work? We know you do have boots and all of that. How does it work? Tell us more about this collaboration.
Yeah, so, generally, when we talk about healthcare and improving access to healthcare, people say telemedicine is an option. But the challenge is that many people don't have access to these devices that would enable them access telemedicine when they need it. So what the Ilera EcoBoots is about taking the hospitals in quote into where the informal sector comes together. So you see people leave their homes and go to the market. And when they fall sick, usually they prefer to self-medicate in the market because if they leave their shops, they're not going to earn a living for that day. So we decided to bring with the Lagos state government to bring in booths into the marketplaces, into the, the power parks, so that when these people fall sick, they can go into those booths and access healthcare via telemedicine. So it's just sort of simple, bringing telemedicine to the people where the people actually coalesce, where they converge. And that's what we're supporting them to do. We believe that when these services are in very close to the people, they will access it rather than self-medicate. They will access it rather than allow their healthcare to deteriorate. And because we're a business supporting or enabling institution, we think that people shouldn't have to make a choice between their health and their business like they do today. People that earn on a daily basis, when they're sick, they actually stay in their business for so long that they deteriorate to a point where, of course, they probably lose their lives or it becomes very difficult. So today we're saying you can take care of your business where you can take care of your health, where you actually take care of your business so that your health does not deteriorate further, giving you a higher cost of care.
Do we know where these booths are, and do people have to pay for it? Who are the personnel that operates the booths?
Oh, okay. So these booths are centrally located in markets across the local government areas and the local council development areas of Lagos State. We plan to roll out 300 of these booths. 5 of them have actually come alive, and others are coming alive in different areas. We've got health telemedicine partners. We've got pharmaceutical partners. We've got community health workers that will actually man these booths, enabling people to speak with a doctor or to get care when they need care. Now, to access the services in these booths, you need to be in an insurance plan. Now, I've always argued, and we've argued in Sterling, that the challenge with healthcare in Nigeria is not the infrastructure. We don't need to build more hospitals now. We don't necessarily need to build more primary healthcare centers. What we need to do is to fund people to be able to access care by buying insurance for them. So the social health insurance has to come alive, because if people have the ability to pay when they're sick, then that money would flow through the health chain and actually fund the infrastructure. So to be able to access this service, one needs to get on the Ilera Eco healthcare scheme. Of course, the policy on healthcare, current policy on healthcare, requires that everyone in the country and everyone in Lagos gets onto health insurance.
Mr. Kachiku,
with the health insurance.
All right, Mr. Kachiku, just hold your breath for a bit, because we really do need to see what you're talking about. We'll just take a short break. We'll be back. So just do hold on. You'll give us more details on, how people can reach it and how it works. So we'll just take a short break on the program, Mr. Kachiku, just a minute, and then we'll be back to continue this conversation. High cost of living marred the 2024 New Year celebration, a trend which started in May 2023 when President Bola Tinubu announced the removal of petrol subsidy and unification of foreign exchange rates. While these pronouncements have been applauded by international bodies, the consequences have been described as harsh on the people and the economy. Unfortunately, the trend persists through the first half of the year, with macroeconomic data capturing in some cases a worsening situation. For the Naira, it was tagged one of the worst performing globally in the first half, after losing about 40% to close at 1,510 Naira for a dollar. The bright side for Nigeria was the capital market. The stock exchange market recorded a return of over 33%, driven by renewed investors' confidence. For the fixed income market, investors enjoyed yield as high as 27.33% on treasury bills in March and 26.76% on bonds. This, however, means a ballooning debt for the federal government and a concern at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry's mid-year review and outlook.
The debt has increased. Our labor productivity and factor productivity has flatlined. In other words, we are borrowing more than we are increasing our productivity.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
With a surging inflation at 34.19%, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria continued its hawkish stance, and monetary policy rate was raised to 26.25% at its May meeting. This made it about 750 basis point increase in the first half.
This is not something that is a one-size-fits-all and you'll expect, to continue like this. To the extent that the right policies are used, and obviously with the results we've seen, the right policies are being used, I believe that in the not-too-distant future, things will begin to moderate and interest rates will come down.
Falling Naira meant bad for businesses. 5 multinationals have had to either divest or exit the country in the period.
A lot of the big IOCs, of course, are exiting Nigeria for their reasons, but they are not leaving Africa. In fact, let me put it that way. A lot of the IOCs are leaving the shallow and the land and going deep offshore in Nigeria, and also invest in other parts of Africa.
Attention then turns to the oil and gas sector, which remains the country's mainstay for revenue. At production hovered about 1.2 million barrels per day for the period, below the 1.5 million target. Crude availability was a topic towards the end of the first half, led by Dangote, as it promises PMS supply from August. Local refiners accuse international oil companies of jeopardizing their effort towards energy security. The NUPRC has intervened by asking the guidelines are published.
With this guideline, it makes it clear. It makes it a willing seller, willing buyer scenario, and then also it makes it clear that both parties are free to deal with themselves. So it's not as if it's coming from the government equity; it's coming from the crude producers themselves. So yes, it will make supply of crude a lot easier.
There's never a pause in time or the running of the economy. So the second half of the year is already on, with high expectations from Nigerians, following the intervention by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission that international oil companies will publish the domestic crude supply obligation guidelines. And this may ensure crude supply to domestic refiners. There's also the newly agreed minimum wage of 70,000 Naira. On the other side, there's 150-day import-free policy on grains. There's the reform withholding tax policy for small businesses, implementation of AFCFTA, as well as expected activities from the newly created Ministry of Livestock Development. Then, governments may also need to turn attention to the debt stock, which, according to the Debt Management Office, has a portfolio for the public debt over 121 trillion Naira. A worrying fact, since for the first time in Nigeria, debt to GDP ratio has crossed the 50% level. People are still waiting also for the much-promised benefits of the economic reforms, which started with the President Bola Tinubu's administration. I'm Ini John Mekwa, reporting for Channels Television News. So there you have it. H2 is upon us. But we'll just continue where we stopped. We still have Mr. Kachuku with us from Sterling Bank. Thank God we do have you on video now. I guess the break was a necessary one. So you were telling us before we took that break, Mr. Kachuku, on how people can participate, what are the requirements, and where they can actually access these booths, these health booths.
So, like I said earlier, thank you for having me back. The health booths will be distributed across 300 locations in Lagos State, across all Lagos Council development areas and the local government areas, in markets, selected markets, and motor parks. Now, to be able to access this, one needs to jump on the standard JARA plan, which was also launched, the National Health Plan. With that plan, you can actually access the care in these booths. And we've made it so simple that the plans can be paid for every month. I think it's as low as 1,200 or so. I'm not too sure currently. But we will also drill it down to the point where people can access this care by paying very little every day, maybe 50 naira, 60 naira every day, just because we need to make this accessible to everyone. And like I was saying earlier, the only way for us to get sustainable care in Nigeria and in Lagos and in Nigeria is to ensure that whatever we design in healthcare is directly connected to health insurance. Because without health insurance, there is absolutely no way to sustainable healthcare in the country. And that's what LASHMA is doing. That's what the Standard JARA plan is all about. That's what the Ilera Eco board is all about. It's saying if you have access to health insurance, then you can use these boats wherever you are. So we're trying to encourage people to get this health insurance. So you can get the health insurance from the boats. If you go into the boats, you can get online when you go on LASHMA website and on their partner websites. And we have made it so easy for everyone to be able to pay for it and to be able to afford it.
So this partnership, how long is it for? Is it something that you later hand over to the state government to handle, or what's the future plan for it?
So we're in this for the long haul. So long as Sterling Bank is alive, we will be partnering the government and different state governments on things like this. We believe that, you know, government changes every time. So 4 years, 8 years, you have government changes, but you've got the private sector standing all through. So we will continue to partner the government in this scheme. We are not leaving. We're not handing it over 100%. We'll keep bringing in all the private sector partners, like we're working with telehealth partners, we're working with pharmaceutical partners, we're working with community health partners to ensure that these booths are live and running. The government provides the policies, the government provides the social health insurance scheme, whilst we as a private sector, we bring in our own expertise. We also, as a financial institution, like I said earlier, make it easier for people to afford these plans by paying very little sums in line with what they earn. So we don't think we will ever decouple this union, because the union will require the union, the consortium, to make this, to keep this running sustainably. So we're in for the long haul.
Yeah, and it's not just this. I think you also have other projects, the contactless fair payment cards and all of that, apart from this health. Is that also in collaboration with the Lagos State government?
Yeah, yes, of course. So it's Sterling Bank, just to give you a bit background, our focus is on things that affect human beings, the real people: health, education, renewable energy, transport, and agriculture. So they're the main 5 pillars where we try to serve people. We believe that if we enable the lives of people that we're trying to bank, then banking can actually, one, be impactful and be a lot more sustainable. And that's why you see us partnering the government in both Fair Pay, in the LASHRA card. So with the LASHRA cards, we're the ones partnering the government, and we're making it available. We're supporting, because we believe that if the government needs to do social interventions, then it has to be it has to be sort of methodical. It has to be logical. You need to know the people. So the LASRA ID cards help people to make payments and to receive benefits if they ever need to receive benefits from government. Same with transport. The card helps you with your transport. We've partnered in Fair Pay. We have done a lot with a lot of governments. I remember the first time we ever had a drone technology that distributes health consumables to hard-to-reach area. We were the partners with the providers supplying that we actually signed. We were there at the commissioning in Kaduna State, and there are a lot of things we're doing in Bayelsa, in what's it called, in Cross River, in a lot of places, just trying to ensure that our health, energy, transport, agri, food is available to the lowest set of a cadre of society. And this is what we've been doing for a long time. I think it's just coming to fruition that people are beginning to see this. And we haven't started. We are just beginning, because we intend to partner every government, at whatever level, whether it's local, state, or federal, to ensure that these basic needs get to the people, whether it be health, whether it be education. In education, we've done a lot. I remember when I was talking to, it wasn't you, when we were talking about the education student loan schemes, and I said that Sterling Bank had already started giving students loans to study, and they graduate and they start paying. So it's something we've been putting our monies where our mouth is, and this is what we're all about.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Okachuku. Interesting there, Mr. Obinna Okachuku, Divisional Head, Education and Health Sectors. Thank you so much, and well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, so we move to another corporate now, and it hasn't been all pleasant for Dangote Group in the last few days, from the issue of crude availability to the allegation of monopoly to the quality of the petroleum products. We'll clear the air on this and a whole lot more. But first, our correspondent Olu Phillips was at the refinery when the lawmakers visited.
And the beat goes on. Another high-profile visit to the world's largest single-train refinery complex, which also houses a fertilizer and petrochemical plant. Seeing is believing, they say. The tour is for members of Nigeria's legislative arm led by its Speaker Tajuddin Abbas. They caught glimpses perhaps of what have been talked about variously about the sheer size of this facility, sitting on over 2,300 hectares of reclaimed land, excluding the port area and the XPM line for importing crude and for exporting refined petroleum products.
So we cannot just bring and plot the vessels. So we had to build this.
We didn't expect this visit to be a wild goose chase, with the inundating comments and spoken expectations about the refinery in the past weeks. Then this moment came. While being shown the world-class laboratory Dangote and his team have often boasted about, and the machine that elicited the next move is this one, the ED-XRF spectrophoto machine, which can process any petroleum products to determine the sulfur content. 2 random diesel samples were brought from 2 different fuel stations, and in what appears like a mini investigation, the parliamentarian requested to put this machine to use instantly. While that is ongoing, they dispatched some of their colleagues to go fetch randomly samples from the ones currently being refined in Dangote. All 3 passed through this machine.
So the analysis is starting now. It's a 5-minute analysis.
Like a clinical patient waiting for a medical result, we all post all activities. So what do we have here? The results showed that the sulfur content in the diesel from other stations were 2,631 and 1,829 respectively, higher than the allowed amount. The Dangote's results showed an 86.7 parts per million sulfur content in diesel. That's not all. Another test was quickly conducted in this same laboratory. this time to determine the flash point of the diesel sample collected.
Okay, so let's do that, because the other one we just passed through.
The flash point is the lowest temperature at which the application of an ignition source causes the vapor above the liquids to ignite. Again, the readings of 26 and 63 for the diesel from other stations fell short of the acceptable minimum of 66, and Dangote's did well above 75 degrees. The face of resilience has just thrown this challenge.
Maybe, Your Excellency, you can set up a team to be maybe headed by the chairman downstream and midstream, so that they will now come in, take our sample with their representative, with our own representative, and go to any filling station of 3 different companies, and you go now and they check in their own labs, and we will accept the result.
Surely, we'll do that, I promise you. Thank you.
So we are Nigerians. We are a patriotic organization. Our diesel will be 10 ppm by next week. PMS will be ready by August 2024. Yes, we are dropping plans to venture into the steel business, so we are not labeled monopolists. We welcome independent investigation and more.
This is really very disheartening when people keep talking about all this monopoly. Monopoly, you know, it is only when you stop people, you block them through legal means or whatever. No, it's a level playing field where whatever Dangote was given, okay, in cement, for example, okay, other people too were given. In the refinery, we did not, and I repeat, we did not collect one single incentive from the federal government of Nigeria or from even the Lagos State of Nigeria. Yes, Lagos State, maybe they gave us a good deal, but we paid $100 million for the land. It wasn't a free land. We paid for it. Okay, so people are always looking at the different, other side. They are not really looking at the real picture. So just for the fact that, yes, we are ready and about to start this, everybody is now up and about. Yes, but we know that what is giving us a lot of joy is that we know that the majority of the population, they are with us.
These are some of the positions of the Africa's richest man. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
So it hasn't been very pleasant for Dangote Group. That's the CEO of the group there, Mr. Aliko Dangote. Well, let's see if we can clear the air on some of these issues. And right here in the studio is the Director, Group Chief Commercial Officer, Dangote Industries, here, Mr. Rabiu. Mr. Rabiu Umar, thank you so much and good morning.
Good morning, Yini. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so, it's been so much attention on Dangote these past days, but unfortunately it hasn't been for good. First, we saw Dangote talk about the IOCs, which other refiners have also complained about. And then we now, of course, you've been importing, you've continued to do that. That's crude. And then now we now hear of the quality of your petroleum products, now the issue of monopoly and all of that. Tell us what's really going on. We did hear Ms. Aliko right there saying he has not, the company has not received any incentive from the government. Even the land in Lagos, they've had to pay $100 million and all of that. So what's really going on? What's the undertone?
Okay, thank you very much for that. I think I would like to start by, first of all, addressing the issue you raised regarding the supply of crude. We started operation earlier this year. And when we started, we were not getting crude oil from most of the IOCs. In fact, as a matter of fact, it took the intervention of the NUPRC to come and bring out terms and conditions for the domestic supply. Because let's not forget, we produce crude oil in Nigeria, and then a lot of it is exported. And then what comes back is the refined products. So the NDPRC had to set up a meeting to bring out guidelines on how domestic crude obligations will be met. And following from that, we're still waiting. It's a very good plan, but we're still waiting to see that the implementation of that takes effect. But because as we speak, we have not yet started seeing that. We got nothing for the month of August, and we're expecting for the next month 5 cargoes from NNPC, and we're going to have to import 10 cargoes from Brazil and the USA. So what that tells you is still we are more or less 60% reliant on importing the crude we're going to refine. That is to address the first point you made regarding what is happening regarding the crude oil. In terms of
the intervention of the NUPRC, do you see that dealing with that challenge now? The IOC is publishing the guidelines, for pricing and the terms for sales?
Like I said, time will tell, because as we speak, most of the companies that are producing crude have participated in a foreign tender in faraway Indonesia for Pertamina. So what doesn't make sense to us is, why would Nigerian crude be going to Indonesia and then a Nigerian company is going abroad to bring in the same product?
So is there no, I do know that, for instance, Nigeria has done a lot of crude loan for crude deal and all of that. Could that be the reason? Or do you think there are sentiments around this?
No, I mean, it's very clear. I don't think it's a question of commitments. It's more a question of an enabling environment. Because let's face it, you take out the crude, and then we go and bring in the crude. To me, it doesn't make sense. Because let's not forget that Nigeria is supposed to have 445,000 barrels per day of domestic consumption, which is the nameplate capacity of our refineries. Meaning that if these refineries were working, there's no need to export the product. This is the product that is supposed to be used for refining, and then, of course, Nigerians will be the ones enjoying the product locally. But today, we are exporting most of this product anyway.
But, I mean, I do know that crude is globally priced. That means if Dangote is buying it, they pay at the global, they pay for it with the global price. If you're exporting it, it's the same thing. Do they make more gains exporting this crude?
Well, so yeah, typically there are benchmarks. There are international benchmarks for pricing. But what we have been saying is that there are instances where we are paying a premium above those benchmarks. And in some instances, we feel why would it be cheaper to bring in product from Brazil, for example, or from America, compared to what you are getting here? It doesn't make a lot of sense that you're paying more for what is near you. I would have assumed that it is more logical that when you bring products from outside, it's going to cost you more, because even if your cost of production or international pricing is the same, a barrel is a barrel anywhere in the world. So there's no difference in terms of the benchmarks for pricing.
Okay, so let's talk about this issue of the quality, which the NMDPRA alleged. And we saw there in the reports that our correspondent, Lou Phillips, went to do at your refinery, the tests. Tell us what it's supposed to be, what it is. I mean, from that report, it did indicate that perhaps even some products from other outlet stations have less quality and more impurity. But tell us about this issue and why it's even coming up at this time.
Okay, so I'll take it in 2 steps. So first and foremost, there is an ECOWAS declaration that was passed in 2020, which is supposed to help African nations to stop receiving substandard fuel. What sulfur does, it reduces the quality of air and brings a lot of carbon emissions, reducing the quality of life, if you like. So ECOWAS came up with a declaration that said, give up until 2025, local refineries, and this means any refinery within the West African region, is allowed to produce at higher levels of sulfur, given that they have time to make the investment to desulfurize and meet the specification of what is called parts per mil of sulfur, which is parts per million. And the idea is that by the end of this year or beginning of 2025, all these refineries are supposed to have complied to what is called 50 ppm, which is parts per mil. Now, at the same time, egg imports from other regions of the world were limited to that 50 ppm because the idea is you're importing substandard product into the region. So that came into effect. And it's not something that was designed or conceived or even by any stretch of imagination driven by the Dangote group. This was something that the Economic Community of West African States came together and decided to say, this is the limit that we want to accept. In addition to that, just this year, you can go and check it, Brussels and Netherlands and Belgium both stopped even transition of high sulfur product through their tanks, meaning that they don't want the product to even come into their tanks or into their region, even if it is meant for export to other regions. This is largely because the sulfur has an effect on, on the environment. And it also has some effect on, the quality of the equipment itself, or what happens to your equipment. The second thing I would like to say on this quality issue is that during the visit of the Honorable Speaker and other ranking members of the House, we didn't even know. On the way to the refinery, they stopped by and they picked samples of product from petrol stations, because the only way you can be sure of the quality of what you are getting is to take it at the consumption point. And what did they see? I think you were playing the numbers just a few seconds. 2,600 in one station and 1,800 in another. The second issue was also that of flashpoint. And the flashpoint is also an issue because it's something that can affect your engine, because it actually increases the combustibility or the flammability of the product, and meaning that it's also a safety hazard. It's something that can actually affect, you can actually have a fire. Back in the day, we used to have a lot of issues with kerosene issues. Some of it is actually the reason is because of the flash point, a contaminated product that has a low flash. Now, a test was also done on our own product, and all the parameters are actually above what you'll expect. All the parameters are on point. It's true, when we started production, the sulfur content was a little higher. And that is because refinery is a very complex operation. And when you start, you are commissioning one equipment after the other. Until you finish that process, there will be certain things that will be not on point. But in fact, our commissioning is one of the best and the fastest in the world in terms of speed of commissioning.
So now that you had the lawmakers there carried out the test, are you in communication with the NMDPRA? Have you shared the result of the test with them so we can clear the air on this allegation?
Yes, we are. And if you look at it today, your correspondent was there, and we're inviting the civil society organization and any Nigerian who's interested to visit. Our laboratory is one of the best you can find anywhere in the world. We have all the testing equipments, and we invite anybody to come and visit it. When you talk about the regulator, we have representation from the regulator on our site all the time, which is why we are very surprised to hear some of the comments, especially regarding level of completion of the refinery, given that all our operations are done in tandem with the regulators.
Okay, so do we say that's cleared, or you're still waiting for NMDPRA, do you understand, to retract? So because it does create perspective, in the mind of some Nigerians.
Yes, which is why we're trying to clear the air. And to clear the air is a very simple process. The regulator can take samples from our production. As we said earlier...
Has the NMDPRA been there to take the samples?
The NMDPRA is always there. They are residents at the refinery. And we are inviting them to come and take new samples from our production and test it. There are repeatable test companies, and we're also inviting other interested stakeholders to do the same. And you will find what I'm telling you, which is the fact that we are currently even at 32 ppm as we speak. And by the end of this month, we're going to 10 ppm. And 10 ppm, just for context, is the best diesel you can find anywhere in the world. There's a standard called the EN 590, which is a European standard, which is the highest standard of diesel you can find, or what is otherwise known as the ultra-low sulfur diesel. And that is what we are going to be producing.
So I think the latest conversation is one of monopoly, and you've said you're going to put a hold on your steel plan and all of that. But where does this come from? I mean, Dangote refinery has been in the works for a bit, and I believe you've been in touch with the regulators. As you said, the NMDPRA is right there. Where does the conversation around monopoly come out from?
Well, it's your guess is as good as mine. And it's quite sad that we're having this conversation because, first of all, we're not the only refinery in Nigeria. The government owns 4 refineries, and at the last time we checked, over 4 billion has been spent in the last couple of years trying to fix these refineries. In addition, there are some other private refineries, and when these other refineries started, nobody in Nigeria said, oh, XYZ is going to create a monopoly. There is nothing further from the truth, because if you look at it, we have made an investment, $20 billion. And let me just make this for emphasis sake. In my adult life, I have never seen an investment this size. And I challenge anybody, whether in Nigeria or even in other African countries, to show us where such an investment has gone into. Number one. Number two, like I said, there are other refineries, and there are investments that have been made financially in making sure these refineries work. So is it to say that the refineries are not going to work? Where is the monopoly coming from? Monopoly means that you are the only player. We are not the only player. There are other refineries. So how can it be that we are, being monopolistic? And nobody is saying that, people talk about monopoly and energy security. We talk about energy security. So does it mean that it is better to be importing products to ensure energy security rather than what you already have in the country? It doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense on many levels. Let me give you an example. When you talk about imports, you are importing products into the country on ships. And anytime we have less than 30 days out there, what you start to see is queues at the petrol stations because people take speculative positions. Now you have a refinery and you have a storage. How can that be, a way in a sense that you don't have energy security? So it means energy security is importing products and exporting crude. It simply doesn't make sense to us.
I know the other time we did talk about the stake of NNPC in the company, and Mr. Dangote did come out to clear the air. Perhaps he should also let us know the stake. And he did say that there's no incentive from any government in this project.
Well, you see, people talk about incentives in many, when it comes to Dangote Group. But there really has not been any special incentive. There are things that are available to Nigerians. And people talk about incentives, people talk about we took dollars. We didn't take anything from Nigeria. As a matter of fact, we challenge people to show proof where we have taken any special incentives. Because when you see these incentives, they are sectoral incentives in most cases, in other businesses. But if I'm talking specifically to the refinery, the refinery did not receive any incentive, any special incentive, I would say.
All right, so I think one curious question on the mind, and we have to end on this note because you're already going into the time on Sunrise Daily, is how will all of this affect the expectation of PMS supply from Dangote?
So for us, really, it's up to the authorities, it's up to the government. We are a private company, and we will start production of PMS by the beginning of sometime beginning of next month. And
that's August.
Yes, that's August. We will start in August, and then hopefully we'll see what direction we're going to take regarding the supply of PMS to the domestic market.
All right, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will be looking forward to that because, I mean, as you said, anything happens, we see the queues. We still have queues even now. But thank you so much, Director, Group Chief Commercial Officer, Dangote Industries, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, I did say it was going to be a different program today, and sorry, Sunrise Daily, guys, we have to keep it of your time. But let's see, I think they'll just do their closing hours. Thank you so much. We'll see you at Business Incorporated. I'm Ini John Mekwa.
All right, let's just touch base with the local government elections that turned out in Ebonyi State. So we've got our man there, Emmanuel Ezekiel, just standing by to just bring us up to speed in terms of the recent development there at the moment. Well, can we say the election has been won and lost? Because, I mean, looking at the background in terms of what happened, parties that were not there, what is the current situation now in the state about the elections, following the elections?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. I'm reaching you live from the Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital. And of course, the election has come and gone at the local government level. First of all, the election went peacefully across the 13 local government areas and 171 wards. But what is interesting is the continuous play out of what has happened in local government elections across the country. I mean, the one that happened in Delta, all these seats, all the chairmanship seats won by the ruling party, and in Adamawa as well. And so the happening in Ebonyi, what happened over the weekend is not different. The question is people's participation, how much of it came to the fore. If all the seats, chairmanship seats and councillorship seats are being taken by the ruling party in the state. However, during the announcement, it was very clear that none of the opposing parties was on hand, basically looking for just their thoughts on the election, and we could not find even the major opposition parties, which on note did not participate in the polls. So it speaks to people's participation, it speaks to beyond voter apathy, because going into the hinterland on that day and seeing voters come across, I mean, you could count, if you're on ground, you could count them on your fingers, the people who have come out to vote. So it speaks once again as to how local government elections have been going, and more questions than answers being given. And what happened over the weekend in Ebonyi State was nothing different from what we've seen over the years.
Is there any enthusiasm on the part of the people to see if local governments will function differently, more so now that the decision is that the funds will go directly to the local governments?
Yes. For the people, there isn't much information on the ground as to how, going forward, following the Supreme Court judgment, that funds will now be directly paid into the local government accounts. But most people I interacted with were laid back as to what is going on. Okay, the election, and the few people who participated were more optimistic that, they want the ruling party in the state to carry on, citing an example of what the governor is doing statewide in terms of development, reaching out to the people. So it wasn't really about enthusiasm. It wasn't really about they want to be part of the process, in all honesty. But it's about, okay, who is concerned? And most of the people who participated, you could tell that they have maybe a link to the political party or political parties across lines that they thought they should be part of. And don't forget, the state here, we have 17 political parties registered, out of which only 3, that is the Labour Party, have done, of course, the ruling party. And this means it's less than 15% of political parties participated in the election. So for the people, it wasn't large majority of people. It wasn't about participation. It was about the election should come and go, let them carry on with their daily lives.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Emmanuel Ezekiel.
Thank you very much, Timothy.
We got this particular message that came through, so it was about what we had discussed earlier on the program. So yeah, you have it?
Yes, indeed. This is from Festus Akimboyewa, who says that while government at all levels must not ignore the rising anger of Nigerians about our economic problems, any protest now will not be in the interest of the same Nigerians who bear the brunt of it. The protest in Bangladesh has claimed 130 lives, and Kenya protests claim dozens of lives. Protest is not the answer. In fact, it will make the situation worse. That's what Festus believes.
All right, so there you go. That wraps it up today on the program. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Thank you for watching. I hope you have a productive week ahead, starting this Monday. I'm Maope Okun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Do take good care of yourself. Bye for now.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. You're watching ShopX TV, home to some of the most popular international brands in Africa. And we are now proud to introduce our biggest offer of the year, the ShopX Mid-Year Sales. From now until the end of July 2024, we will be offering our customers 20,000 Naira off this amazing kitchen collection. Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen? Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection.
You would normally pay up to 364,950 Naira for the 10-piece Gotham Hammered collection. But call the number on your screen now or scan the QR code and get the entire collection for just 344,950 Naira, saving you 20,000 Naira. But wait, if you order now, we will upgrade you to the 21-piece Premier Kitchen Collection at no extra charge, and also include one Oil One food processor that blends, grinds, chops, dices, pounds yam, and makes smoothies in seconds. All for just 344,950 Naira only. Place your order now and we'll deliver the entire collection for free anywhere you are in Nigeria.
The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.